Thanks for stopping by my channel. My name is Charlotte and I am the trauma-informed teacher. I post videos about self-care, classroom life, travel, and fashion from the perspective of a veteran teacher. This week, it's Spirit Week at my school, so there's going to be a lot going on. I'm trying to get ready for it. If you'd like to see my Spirit Week outfits, be sure to watch this entire video because later on I'm going to show you. On a typical morning, Joe wakes me up with a cup of coffee. And I just sort of sit around with Baxter and pay attention to him for a little while. Then I start getting ready for work and do my hair and makeup. I try to pack our lunches the night before, so I have some time to read or do a devotional before we need to leave. But today I'm going to be up early so I can make a couple of things for a staff carry-in. It's been a challenging year this year, so we are trying to give teachers an opportunity to visit with each other and let off steam whenever possible. Today is the teacher workday, so it was a good time to have a meal together. I'm bringing my famous chocolate chip cookies and buffalo chicken dip. My girls love these cookies. When they were still in school, they would always ask me to make them whenever there was a special event. The story behind the recipe is about a friendly competition between my sisters. Years ago, we challenged each other to a bake-off to see who could make the best chocolate chip cookies. My dad was the judge, and I actually won. This recipe is now a secret in our family, and you have to marry into the family to get it. There aren't really any crazy ingredients. It's more of a process that makes these cookies so special. But the best part is that they stay soft and ooey gooey inside for at least a week after you make them, and they even will freeze well. The buffalo chicken dip is just an easy favorite that I like to take to potlucks. It has just a few simple ingredients and comes together quickly, but everyone is always glad when they see it. I'll link the recipe below in case you're interested in trying it. One of my favorite YouTubers is the Minimal Mom. She suggests that you have a few signature items that you always make for carry-ins and keep the ingredients handy around your house. This saves you time and energy when you need to bring something because the decision making is very simple. Also, the more that you make a dish, the faster you get at it. If you're like me, I appreciate easy and fast because these events never seem to come at a slow time of my life. So I'm done making the food. I'm just gonna throw on my tennis shoes and head out to the car. We only live 15 minutes away from work, so it's really an easy drive. Joe usually drives us in the morning because he's more awake than I am. I'm more of an evening person. So I put on a podcast or just relax and get my mind together for school on the way there. Today it's going to be more relaxed than normal because I won't have any students. When I get to work, I will just be sitting through a short staff meeting and then doing an online technology training. After lunch, I can work on anything that I choose, and I'll try to come back and check in with you then.
And ask you questions that way. But I'm going to ask that you be present and participate in our time together today. So if you guys are all good with the norms, we are going to dive right in. And we all know that because it's really a wonderful way for us to communicate with each other and to share a lot of based on the last, I want to say based on the craziness that we've lived through over the last, 18, 19.
Good morning. Today is Monday, October the 25th, 2021, and today is a teacher workday in my school district. So this morning we had a staff meeting. We talked about discipline and a learning management protocol that we've been working on. I don't know if you're familiar with the Common Instructional Framework and the itty bitty book of techniques for classroom instruction and collaboration, but that's a focus of my district this year. So every staff meeting, one of the staff members presents one of the protocols for getting students engaged in conversation, and then we have a toolbox of resources that we can use in our own classrooms to help students interact with one another. So we did that today. Our principal talked about discipline and, going back to the basics, because as you all know, it's been a challenging year for discipline, just getting students back into a routine and used to following directions instead of on their own schedule, their own time at home, in their own environment. That's been a challenge. So we just basically had a really good refresh on what it means to be a good classroom manager instead of having reactive classroom discipline. So it was a good conversation, and he gave us some good tips to look at and remind ourselves of what we really already know, but with everything that's gone on in the past couple of years, it's made it more and more important for us to think about those kinds of things. So after all of that, I had a training this morning, and I basically was in the training not because I used the system that we were training on, but because in my supplemental roles that I'm doing, I'm helping other teachers, and I need to understand what they're doing so that I can help them. So just to talk to you a little bit about my recent roles that I've been given, I am doing the building technology lead, which I'm excited about because I love technology. I like trying new things, learning new things. As long as I have time to do it, I like to pilot things because I like to be the person that can kind of play around with it, and it's not really super important that I learn everything fast. I don't really like to learn things quickly in general. I like to take my time, and usually whenever I learn something new, it's the second year that I'm doing it, that I'm implementing much better than my first year, which I think is kind of common, but in some school districts that I've worked in, you're expected to learn something and then implement it immediately, and I just never did very well with that. I'm a slow processor, a slow learner when it comes to new things, but then I learn them very, very thoroughly, and I implement them very well. Hold that thought. Sorry, phone call. So for that role, one of the things I'm going to be doing is professional development for teachers. I'll get to do some train the trainer types of things where I go and learn about something new, then I bring it back and I share with the teachers how to do things. Also, whenever the district gets any new technology for us, I'm going to be helping teachers figure out how to use it. So one of my main things that I need to do right now is familiarize myself with the ViewSonic board. We recently received funding, COVID funding, I believe, that allowed us to purchase ViewSonic boards in all the classrooms, which is like a smart board on steroids. And I'm so excited about this technology. I don't know everything that it can do yet. I sat in on a basics training and I just barely skimmed the surface of what you can do with it. But I'm super excited because the board itself connects to the internet. So it's not like the smart board where everything had to run through your laptop. You actually can log in to websites and access a lot of things without ever connecting to a laptop. However, you can cast from your laptop, and you can also cast from student Chromebooks, laptops, whatever, so students can project things that they're working on for the whole class to talk about and share. So it's just a really neat thing that we've been able to do to get these in classrooms, and I need to familiarize myself with all of the parts so that when teachers are trying to do something, I'll be able to support them. So that's going to be probably one of my main goals this year, is to learn that. But in general, I'm supposed to stay up to date on whatever's going on in technology. So I'm going to start following some technology leads at other schools on Instagram and learn about new things that are out there so that I can try them in my classroom and then maybe just share them along with some staff members informally, as well as if I am given the opportunity to present anything. So that's the one role. The other role that I have right now is the NC SIP at the district level, and basically this is a coordinator role, and my job is going to be to help our Title I director in applying for our district school improvement plan, like our approval that we have completed our steps every year. So every school has a school improvement team and writes their own improvement plan, and that's pretty standard, I believe, like across the United States. They might call it something different in some states, but basically you have a plan to improve your school every year. And there's paperwork that goes into proving that you've been working on that, and that paperwork gets submitted to the state. So one of my things that I'm going to be doing is helping to collect all that documentation, uploading it into the right place online, and then helping us submit the application. So that's sort of a clerical type of job, but it's also a people job because I'll be working with leads of different departments, and I'll be running the SIT meetings and just checking on our progress and making sure that everything's moving along the way that it's supposed to. So as part of that, I'll be doing some work with the reading specialists in the district and the EC teachers and department leads and lots of different committee leaders, things like that. I'm really excited about these opportunities. I feel like it's giving me a chance to, step out of the classroom, but I still have my students, my own classroom, my own lessons to do. It's kind of challenging because unlike being an administrator, my focus is very split, although not to say that administrators' focus is not split because they're constantly dealing with things coming at them every day. But in this role, I am maintaining a full-time classroom, but I'm also doing above and beyond. So it is extra work, and I am getting paid for that, so no complaints. But right now, I'm trying to figure out how to rebalance my schedule. So whenever you're thrown something new, you have to kind of move things around in your schedule, figure out when are you going to do what, how are you going to make this work on a weekly basis. That's sort of the process that I'm in right now, is transitioning and figuring that out. So For the first few weeks after I accepted the positions, I was just very mind blown and pretty overwhelmed. But that's kind of just to be expected as I transition into new things and new responsibilities every day. So I'm going to be looking at that more this week. And this week, by the end of the week, I really want to nail down my time periods. I'm especially struggling with how do I help those students that need extra help, perhaps after school when I would normally do tutoring, but also get some of these additional roles done. It seems like with the fact that I have 3 preps every day at least, that's not even including how I'm personalizing learning for my different classes, because I have 5 classes of students right now, which if you are in a big school, that probably doesn't sound like a lot, but in our school, that's kind of unusual to have 5 classes. Normally teachers have 3 classes because they have 3 hour-and-a-half blocks. I have 2 split blocks, so that means that I have 5 classes of students. So those students are all in different places. There are 3 different grade levels, so it's 3 completely different curriculums and preps, and then it's personalizing learning for, the different groups in the same grade levels. So it's a lot. It's a lot to balance, and every time I have report cards, I have more to do, more phone calls to make, I have more everything. So right now, I'm just trying to get my feet wet, understand the roles, see where I can be helpful, and what I can do that connects to these goals on the job description. And then this week, I need to really figure out, okay, now that I know what I'm doing, how I'm going to make these things work, I need to figure out when are they all happening. So I want regular times to work on everything, so that everything has a flow to it and an order to it in my week, instead of everything just happening to me. I want to happen to it. So that's kind of the way that I like to operate, is whenever I'm feeling overwhelmed, I just go back to, okay, let's make a list of all the tasks that I have to do. Let's prioritize them, and let's figure out when they're going to happen and how long they're going to take, so that I can make my slots for everything. So I think that it is very doable once I get going, especially since I don't have children at home anymore. Joe and I are, pretty relaxed in the evenings. We do sometimes have meetings after school, or we'll have games or something like that we need to help, run concessions or run the gate or something like that for. But we have a lot of flexibility in the evenings in our schedule. So it's doable. I just have to restructure my time. So I'm going to work on that for a little bit this afternoon, now that we had our potluck lunch and we're done with all of our trainings for the day. I'm going to work on that. I'm going to work on some lesson planning, because I'm not done with my lesson plans for this week yet, because I just had too much fun this weekend. And I'm going to work on probably cleaning up some of these stacks around my room. I have stacks everywhere that I can see. So I'll probably just start in one corner of the room, and I'll just work my way all the way around. But yeah, it is 1:30. So I'm going to start off by working on my schedule, because if I have my schedule down, then everything else will be a lot easier. And then I'll do my lesson plans and clean up. This week is Red Ribbon Week, so I spent some time decorating our classroom door. I always like to include students in some way. This time I had students make their own Minion design using a template that I'll link below. They had to think about something they wanted to do in their future that wouldn't happen if they got mixed up in drugs. Each student wrote their idea on a strip of paper and attached it to the Minion. By the end of the week, I had a huge bulletin board of Minions along with the ones displayed here. They really enjoyed it, and I think it's something that they will remember later. I promised to share the outfits I wore for Spirit Week with you, so here they are. Tuesday was team day. I'm from Ohio, and both my parents went to The Ohio State University, so I wore my Buckeyes tee. Wednesday was Wacky Tacky Day. I found this striped sweater my daughter bought me from her store and paired it with one of my LuLaRoe skirts and Halloween leggings. Of course, I had to do something crazy with my hair. Thursday isn't pictured here, but it was neon day, so I just wore a neon orange shirt with a skirt with the same neon orange in it. Friday, we were allowed to wear our Halloween costumes. Joe and I were characters from Back to the Future. I was Jennifer, and we decided that he would be Doc because he's way too tall to be Marty. His costume was actually the kids' favorite by far, as you can see how hilarious it turned out. After work, I typically come home and watch a little TV to unwind and then make our lunches for the next day. Lately, my shows have been The Bachelorette, and I know it's a guilty pleasure, but I like to see the drama unfold. And any of the house flipping series, I like to watch those since we are looking at eventually building. This is the lunch that I'm making for tomorrow, but I accidentally used the shrimp in something else because it was in the freezer. So I'm going to make some salmon instead and make it a salmon bisque instead of a shrimp bisque. So crossing my fingers that this will turn out okay. So the other thing that I have to do is substitute a pepper that I have already in the fridge because my peppers in my bag were not good because I didn't make it soon enough. So I gotta chop up all the vegetables, cook the fish, and then throw in the liquid ingredients and just cook it and stir it until it is heated, and then I'll take the toppings to school and add them at the last minute. So that's what I'm going to do, and then I'm going to bed. Thanks for tuning in to my channel. Check back for next week's upload when I'll be sharing about a trip to North Carolina Center for Advancement of Teaching and a visit with my grandson. As always, don't forget to work hard, be kind, and amazing things will happen. Bye-bye.